welcome back to another Rebel's Edge from somewhere in Austria, where the Interburs, which is the group of exchange folks from around the world, just finished their guest race today, Pete, and they're going to be having the official race, which I will be in. I'm the third year in a row. I'm the team captain.
Nice.
Bang. So we've got that and a lot on both Boeing, General Motors, new records for the S&P. We got it all today on the Rebel's Edge. Well, Pete, how are things back in the States?
Well, Minnesota's, we got a lot going on. We're in the news every day, so I don't even need to give you an update on that one. By the way, and I'll say it here right now, they refuse to stop, but they continue to do it, John. I keep getting asked on a daily basis from somebody or another, or somebody else, or a TV or a radio, hey, run for governor. And so I'm finally coming out of the closet on that whole thing. And I'm saying, you know what? I hear you. I'm not sure it's something I'm going to do, but you never know. You never say no. So who knows? But I'll tell you what, John, this state needs a lot of things. And it probably starts at governor. And I don't know where it ends, but it starts at governor because there's a lot of issues. And the fact that Minnesota seems to be on the cover of every magazine and newspaper and whatever. That's not where we want to be for the reasons that we are there. That's for sure. Yeah.
Well, overseas, over here, Pete, everybody from Germany, from France, from Amsterdam, from Finland, you name it, Slovenia, they're all saying, what's going on in Minnesota? Hey, what's going on there? Some of them are even Swedes, Pete, and they speak like that. Hey, what's going on there, eh?
I believe
but
you.
Anyway, well, I keep crossing my fingers that Pete's going to run, folks. So we'll see. We'll see. But let's dive right in to macro, Pete, and talk about, well, I guess the guy you'd have to answer to eventually, the president, Donald Trump. He announced some fresh tariffs against South Korea because they're not living up to the trade agreement. So he wants to hit them and a couple other folks with a lot more tariffs. And meanwhile, the Federal Reserve started a 2-day meeting today, and gold is flying to the upside through 5,100 to the ounce. Wow.
It's amazing, John. It truly is. I mean, from a macro sense, there's so many different directions we could take. We could start with the Fed, and what's going to happen there. I think that's more of a story for tomorrow. But, the Fed certainly has an impact, a very big impact upon the markets, whenever they are out in front of us. And a matter of whether or not that Jerome puts his foot back up in his mouth or not. We'll find out about all that pretty soon. But I just am so fascinated by this, John, and I know we're going to dig a little bit deeper, but I will just say this. When you look at the Dow right now and you see how far down the Dow is, it's basically one stock and one stock only that's dragging this thing down. I know we're going to talk about it, but I'm just going to tell you that UNH, United Health, and that whole category, that's dragging on the markets. And because of that, I think that's on the macro sense, that's what's pulling things down to some degree. But you look over at the NASDAQ, completely different story. And that is ripping to the upside, which I think is a much better story than what we're seeing right now out of the Dow.
Well, how about volatility? I mean, the Dow isn't what drives volatility.
Right.
It's the S&P. Mm-hmm. So what are you seeing from the S&P and the volatility on the SPY?
You know what? And I'll be talking about this with Oliver later on too, John. And I've had an opportunity to talk about others as well. But the fact that we are sitting essentially right at 16, we've gotten a little bit below 16, we've gotten a little bit above 16, but I would say that says it all. The fact that we are sitting right there and essentially people are looking at it and just saying, where is the volatility? Do you want the volatility? I don't know. Everybody's got their own opinion on that, but we talked about how it's not sustainable over 20. It hasn't been able to hold up when we've spiked over 20. barely hours, John. And I think that's what we're seeing once again. I brought this up the other day, and I'll bring it up probably tomorrow. But as of right now, and it could move come tomorrow, but as of right now, we are sitting there kind of planted in that very, very tight range of 1580 to call it 1625.
Well, let's dive into then one of the other things that's going on today, Pete, which is the S&P setting a new record. Like Pete said, Dow, different story. United Health, yeah, that's dragging it down. But as far as the S&P and NASDAQ, they're hitting records. So I thought I'd throw up the prediction exchange poly market and see, okay, S&P 500, up or down in January. Now, Pete's already given you guys a clue, and that is, okay, depends what Jerome Powell says tomorrow. We know he's not going to move on rates, or at least that's the betting line, that it's zero chance that he's going to bet on rates. But he might get in there, Pete, and try to mealy mouth something about how he's no longer driven by data. And instead, he's driven by his hatred of the president or something, because he's going to have to come up with some reason why we're not going to start seeing lower rates pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's going to be interesting, John. And that is certainly something that everybody will be focused on. To your point, I'm not sure what direction he's going to go, but they've been data dependent supposedly for quite some time. And if they really were that data was going to control them, that probably would have led to much more cuts last year than what we ended up getting. So I'm not so sure what they're looking at right now, but we're all looking at, like you were just talking about, the idea of where's Powell going to go? Well, it's going to be an interesting thing, but as far as what the CME tool is telling us, they ain't cutting it.
Not this meeting. And meanwhile, Pete, we put up a 5.4% GDP, which is huge.
Yeah.
And, versus the previous administration came out over the course of a year, it was 2.4. So Musk and David Sachs both think that we could be in the United States seeing 7 to 8% GDP. And if that's the case, man, everybody's going to want in on the United States.
Yep.
It doesn't matter who the sitting president is. They're going to want a piece of this.
Yep.
All right, Pete, let's talk about Intellia Therapeutics. This is NTLA. Now, we have had some readings on this one over time, Pete, but I'm not saying we have unusual activity here, but the stock was moving to the upside by better than 20%. It's holding on to about a 10% gain. Basically, the Food and Drug Administration lifting a clinical hold. And that's enough, I guess, Pete, for this thing to pop to the upside by, at one point, 20%.
Yeah, there were some concerns, John. Part of the reason they had that hold was they were seeing that some of things that were affecting the liver and so forth. But this gives them a little bit of extra life to the upside. There's no doubt about that. That's why the stock's up as much as 20%. It hit well over $17 a share, but then it backed off a little bit. So interesting to see how this is playing out right now. I like it. I think it's something that's obviously very important, but it's got to be safe. And I think that's what the level they are right now. So yes, they're lifting off that hold, but I'm sure they're going to be watching this one very, very carefully as well, John.
Well, now we get to dive into the ones that you already led us into, Pete. Humana, United Health, CVS Health. I mean, those are amazingly just getting cracked. And when you hear why, folks, and many of you I know probably have already read about it in the newspaper or done a Google search or whatever, but Trump, he's saying he would only support about under a 1% increase, Pete, in the amount of money that they give to Medicare and Medicaid services. These are, of course, big health insurance companies, especially United Health. Well, now if you, instead of giving them 4 to 6%, that they're pretty much like thinking that's written in stone, that they should just get a 4 or a 6% jump every year, Pete, he said, not so fast. And those stocks, boom, 20% to the downside.
Yeah, they're getting absolutely clocked today, and probably for the right reasons. I mean, this is a brutal cut for them, but this is something that the president, I think, has had his eyes on for quite some time and wanted to make a move and has made the move. And like you just mentioned, we're talking about 3 stocks specifically, but it's more than that, but 3 stocks that are just getting clocked, somewhere between down 16, 17%, 18%. United Health has been as much as 19% or so. Interesting. And by the way, United Health also, kind of washed off to the side a little bit is their earnings, John. They beat kind of, it was somewhat in line or maybe a slight beat, but also the revenue was a slight miss. This is a stock that's been in the public, the media, and everything else for quite some time now. I mean, United Health has had probably the last year and a half or so has been probably more than they would have ever wanted it to be in terms of that whole thing. But, their guidance really wasn't very good. And I think that was a problem on top of everything else. I think that's the problem. They talked about 2% year over year down for the revenue. So that isn't so good. And I think that, a lot of people keep saying, well, I think now is the time to buy United Health. I'd say maybe. I personally, I'm going to wait, and I would definitely want to wait quite a bit longer, but I want to wait until I see any sort of promise coming in that world. And as of right now, I don't see it. So I don't know why you'd want to just jump in there and say, you know what? Yeah, because I'm not a bottom feeder, and neither are you, John. We want to see some sort of momentum start to move to the upside for the right reasons. And we will see if that actually happens. I'd also like to see some of the usual option activity jump into some of these names, specifically United Health, to tell me that somebody's starting to feel like maybe we are towards the bottom. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime in the very near future, but probably somewhere later on in the year, we might see something like that happen.
Yeah, well, I think there's certainly a dichotomy or a split between these two sectors, Pete. Mm-hmm. The health insurers, who are not going to be getting as much money based on what we're hearing today anyway, and the healthcare providers. The largest hospital operator in the United States is HCA. Mm-hmm. And HCA Healthcare, 187 hospitals, Pete, 2,400 urgent care centers, surgery centers, and things like that. So why are they going up while the other guys are going down? Well, because the president's not saying, hey, anything bad about these hospitals. Hospitals might be getting more money, Pete. It's the insurers that are going to be getting clocked.
Yeah.
And, quite frankly, I don't really feel so bad about the insurers getting clocked.
I don't either. And especially those that insure houses, but that's a whole different story. This HCA healthcare thing, John, I mean, this is a pretty impressive move. About 12% to the upside, hit new 52-week highs. It was trading right next to that. 527.48 was the new highs today. But look at that chart that you had up there is amazing. They crushed it on the earnings. They were expecting 745. They ended up getting $8 and a penny on top of that thing. So they did have a little bit of I don't know if I'd call it a miss, but a slight miss maybe for the revenue. But their outlook was so strong, that kind of wiped things out, John. The forecast is extremely strong for these guys. They're in the right place, right time. You mentioned it. You've got urgent centers, you've got surgery centers, you've got freestanding ERs, all of that. And as of right now, these guys are absolutely crushing it. And because of that, that's why it's hitting those 52-week highs. I don't think it's done yet. I think there's still room to the upside for this one.
Well, I'm curious, and I do mean that, because Pete and I don't discuss these ahead of time, folks. So when I ask him what his take is on Meta or on Corning, which I'm going to do right now, I haven't already heard what his opinion is on that. So here's the story. Today, they get a multi-year agreement with Meta, Pete. That is, Corning gets a multi-year agreement. Now, what do? Oh, fiber as well as glass. And of course, fiber has some form of glass in it anyway. But they're going to get up to $6 billion from Zuckerberg's company, and basically for the supply of optical fiber for these data centers, AI data centers and so forth. Now, my question to you, Pete, that's a fact, so I don't really have a question about that. My question to you is, earnings are tomorrow. So with this stock leading the charge today with the Dow and so forth, I mean, I know the Dow was dragged down, like you said, by UNH, but would you buy this thing on a big pop like this into the earnings before the market opens tomorrow?
That would be a tough one. That would really be tough, just because that is an absolute unbelievable move. That being said, John, these guys are really positioned well, and we're talking $6 billion, and it's not like a one-time thing. This is something that's going to go on into the future a little bit, to the supply from the optical fiber side to the connectivity side and all of that. And I got to tell you, hats off to Corning for what they're doing, and the fact that Meta just seems to have bottomless pockets, John, where they're constantly pulling money out for the next thing and the next thing. And obviously data centers has been going on for a while, but they just keep on making that spend. It's been an incredible run for them to the upside. And for Corning, boy, what an incredible run they've had. Also, you know, their workforce, they're talking about the folks that are down in South Carolina, or North Carolina rather, that's going to be pushed up to about 15 or 20%, creating that many more jobs. I'll tell you what, I that's really tough to buy a stock when you've already seen it make this kind of a move. I don't know that you've got to do it right in front of earnings. I find it to be fascinating that the timing of this is just before those earnings, though. It's absolutely incredible. I like this company a lot. I think GLW is one of those that probably gets cast off to the side a lot, John. People just forget about them. Well, they haven't forgotten about them now, and certainly Meta hasn't forgotten about them with this $6 billion deal. So I'm very positive on them, but it's really tough for me to say, yeah, I'm going to buy this thing after it's made this kind of a run today. What is it up, 15, 16, 18%, something like that?
Yeah. And people are already modeling this into their outlook, folks. So, of course, it will be, how did you do for the previous quarter, the one that they closed the books on a month ago? That's going to be part of GLW's story tomorrow. And the rest of it's going to be guidance going forward.
Yep.
Can they come up with enough positive guidance after this, or should people maybe be lightening up, taking some off the table and seeing if you can't pick some up, down 5 or 6% from where we are right now? That would be me and what I would be looking to do, Pete.
Yeah.
And it sounds like what you're looking to do too.
Yeah, if I had a position already, which I do not, but if I did, I would absolutely take some of it off and then maybe ride a little bit and see if this thing, because I'm a little bit of a cowboy, so are you, try to ride this thing and see what goes. But I think from a discipline standpoint, if I had a position ahead of it, I'd have to take off some. I mean, it's just what you and I do. I mean, you buy a $2 option that's trading $5. You might say, you know what, I'm going to take it, but I'm not going to take the whole thing. I'll take half of it off. And now I feel pretty good. And now it's my decision after that. So I would put this in the same sort of category as that. But like I say, I'm not saying I own it, because I don't.
Well, we got a lot of complaints yesterday, Pete, that we didn't have a video for the sports to lead into your Pete's Red Zone Sports. So we have one today. And I think a lot of you guys will like this one, because it's two of the best, well, really nice people on top of everything else. Because I saw Matthew Stafford, Pete, seek out Cooper Kupp after the playoff victory by Seattle. And that's a class move, obviously. And then you've got Nakua coming up to Cooper Kupp and saying, go get him. So let's take a listen and watch this one.
These guys are classic.
Love you, dude. You're freaking unbelievable, man.
Love you, Doc.
Dude.
Go win it.
Yeah, we're gonna do our best, brother. Love you, man. Cheering for
I
you.
want to be no other way, man.
100%. Love you, Doc.
Hey.
Former teammates who don't know, right? I mean,
Love you so
Right.
much, man.
MVP kind of numbers out of these guys, Pete.
Whew.
And neither of them were high draft picks.
Right.
They both just work at their craft and don't make many mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see too many drops out of either of these two guys,
Right.
because they're so focused on, doing what they have to do to play at the level they play at. So I thought you guys would like that one.
Yeah, that's a great one, John. I love it. I love it. And it just shows you, there's people get traded around and everything else. And yes, you want to win on your team, but you still love your brothers from your previous team, like you could see with Cooper Kupp there. I mean, that's pretty phenomenal. And that's, it's part of the NFL, this bouncing around that some of the guys do. I mean, I don't mind it in the NFL. College systems, I think, have gotten a little bit too crazy. As a matter of fact, and I saw you had seen that picture with me and Coach the other day, and he and I were talking about that. Coach Osborne down there at Nebraska, I said, what is your opinion as a guy who's been around this game for so many years? What's your opinion of this? And he goes, it's ruining college football. And I agree with him. I mean, the fact that you can just jump in the portal because you're sad because of whatever reason is probably not good. I mean, it used to be those guys would work hard to try to get somewhere or whatever. Or if they did transfer, they did get the penalty of they couldn't play for a year. And I'm not saying that was the right way to do it, but I think the number of times that you can be in the portal and jump from one school to the next school to the next school to the next school, I just don't know that that's the way college football should be set up, or college basketball for that matter. I just, and I think he and I were on the same page. John, how about this? MVP. And I'm really curious because you kind of put it out there to me before we came on, and you said, well, I got an MVP. And the funny part might be, I don't know if we got the same guy, but we'll see. So Matthew Stafford is definitely somebody who's a front runner, right? I mean, you look at his numbers this year, and a lot of people are even throwing in the age side of things. I don't really care about the age part of it at all. I don't think that should be a part of it, but he is, he's got the second most touchdowns for a player 37 years or older, which is something. 46 touchdowns this past year, 4,700 yards. It's unbelievable numbers. He was a leader all year, and they had a phenomenal year, and their defense played well, and Matthew Stafford delivered to those guys as well. So you can't help but like him. I think Drake May is another one where you just look at what he did this young. I mean, it's almost the exact opposite. I mean, here's a guy who's only been in the league like a year or two, and meanwhile, he's putting up numbers that are pretty damn good. Were they as good? Not quite as good as Stafford, but what he did and the fact that he was safe with the ball, and he had so many key plays just this past weekend, even just to ice it, that he is somewhere up there in that MVP. I mean, look at the turnaround for the New England Patriots. Absolutely unbelievable. So I'll throw it, and he led the NFL in completion percentage, 72%. This is the guy. He did that. So they got a great defense, got a really good offense. They can run the ball, all of that. But I'm going to hold back on my MVP because I got it written down here. But I'll let you tell me who you think it should be.
All right. I'll show you, Pete. Jared's got a little picture for you. I'll show you who was the most game-changing person in all of the NFL. And there it is. It's the Zebras.
The Zebras.
Because, and most valuable? Hell yeah. The Zebras are the most valuable, depending on, you remember when it was always that Mahomes would get the call.
Yeah.
He'd get the call. He'd get the call. He'd get the call. If he threw an interception, magically, there would be a holding penalty or something like that. If he got tackled for a loss, it would be, a late hit or whatever. I mean, and that was in the past. I'm not saying he still gets that treatment now, but when you see a catch like in the Buffalo Bills game, and that was a catch, and then the ball gets taken away as they're going to the ground after his back has hit the ground, which means he's caught the ball. He controlled it on the way down. He has the possession of the ball. And then you've got, one of the guys that we just showed you, Nakua. No, not Nakua. It was one of the plays in the Rams Seattle game where, it's not a catch or whatever. I mean, I think that the real MVP is, and I'm joking, of course. I think the Zebras are doing a terrible job. But as long as the head of the league wants to keep putting people out there that shouldn't be still making these calls, Pete, I'll say that's your MVP, especially if you're in Vegas running a sports book. That guy is your MVP. The guy that's like, well, I don't know, maybe the holding.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but you went a different direction as I did because I was staying a little more on the serious side of this whole thing. So I'm going to say this. Stafford, unbelievable year. But you know what? Part of MVP kind of keeps you around or whatever for different reasons and so forth. And but he absolutely is deserving. If he got it, I would say, you know what? He deserved that. Drake May, sort of the same thing. I mean, if he got it, I would say, yep, he deserved it. But who I think deserves it the most is Christian McCaffrey. And I say that, John, because first of all, they don't give it to running backs anymore. It's just, it's a quarterback gets this the little MVP thing. But he had 1,200 yards rushing, 17 games. He finally played all 17. He was healthy. He had 1,200 yards. He had 10 touchdowns. He had one fumble all year with 311 carries. I mean, just magnificent, right? I mean, you get hit that many times, you 310 times, and he didn't fumble. So that, and then add on to that a little over 900 yards with catches, John, had 102 receptions this past year, 102 for a running back. So, and another 7 touchdowns, 700 yards post catch is how he did it as he was the receiver part of this thing. So I look at that and I'm just like, wow, this guy blows me away. It's absolutely amazing. He's not just a running back. He's not just a wide receiver. He's not just a guy who will block too, by the way, because you want a kid who's strong as hell, who's a running back in the NFL, don't have to go too much further than McCaffrey. So I just look at these other guys and I think all three are deserving, but I would put McCaffrey out there as my guy for this year's MVP. By being there, he made the 49ers relevant when their defense was so hurt, John, and so banged up, and they only could put out like 6 of the 11 are starters. The rest of the guys are on IR or hurt or whatever. They weren't able to play. And meanwhile, he's running the rock. Why do they do that? Because they need to chew up time on the clock by running a little bit more. And that's why he had
keep the ball away from the other team's offense.
Exactly right. Yep, exactly right. So I give him all the credit in the world. But all right, how about this, John? We move over to the NFL again, but the head coaches. Now, the Giants, you've got Harbaugh. Atlanta, you got Stefanski. Miami, you've got Halfley, who most people don't know. He's a defense coordinator at Green Bay. Tennessee Titans have Saleh, the old defensive coordinator, went to the Jets, came back to the 49ers. Now he's gone to Tennessee. Jesse Minter is it with the Ravens. Pittsburgh, you've got Mike McCarthy, the old Green Bay and Dallas coach and all the rest of that. He's going to be there. So you've got 4 spots left, John. You've got Arizona, Cleveland, the Raiders, and Buffalo. Who would you say, now we don't need to name the coaches or whatever, but I just want to say, what would be if you were the head coach and had an opportunity and all 4 of these are open, which they are, who do you think you would want to have? And I say that because I know tongue-in-cheek that there's one that absolutely does stand out, but I got a couple in this group. So what would you rate them? Who would be 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Buffalo Bills, number 1, in terms of where would I want to go if I'm a coach, and who has the best. They've got all the pieces, Pete. They just need, a little more luck on defense. They don't need any more luck on offense. Josh does everything for that team.
Yeah.
Who's going to go there? Maybe Brian Daboll or something like that, Pete.
Go back,
or Davis Webb, who's the Broncos. Look what he did with Bo Nix and so forth. So. I'd say Buffalo for either of those 2 guys, but Buffalo's going to have to freaking put out some money because and they need to keep that new stadium in mind when they're doing this too, because obviously firing a coach over, basically just because he didn't get them to the Super Bowl, I think that was probably a mistake on their part. And he'll wind up someplace, where he really can do it again. But I'd say them and the Raiders just because they're in a position to take, the number 1 quarterback, the Heisman Award winner and all that.
Yeah, I look at it too, John. And the Buffalo's kind of the obvious one, just like you were saying. You got Josh Allen, which is, arguably the best player, not just quarterback, but best player in the NFL because all the things that guy can do with his size and his strength and his arm and all that. And they just got to get over that hump. It was Kansas City. Now this year it wasn't Kansas City, and they still couldn't quite get over that hump. Somebody's got to get them over that. I'm going to throw out what you said. I'm going to say the Raiders because Cleveland is a mess. Any franchise that's got that many quarterbacks, and they, by the way, worst trade in the history of the NFL is no longer Herschel Walker. It's Deshaun Watson. When you put that much money down on a guy who's done some things that potentially they should have known what he maybe at least was being accused of and everything else, and maybe thought about this thing, they didn't. And that spend hurt that team. And the fact that they can't figure out a quarterback, they got 4 or 5 quarterbacks on the roster this past year, and they just kind of kept throwing guys in there and everything. It was crazy. Arizona, they just don't have it. But I'll tell you what, the Raiders, when I look at Max Crosby and what he puts out there as an effort every single game, it's pretty absolutely amazing. Ashton Genty at running back, I think, is something that any quarterback, and especially if you're Mendoza, I think you'd want to have this kid as your running back. I like what the Raiders potentially could do. And you know what? Where they sit, where they are, Las Vegas, the whole deal, I actually think that the Raiders might be up there right behind Buffalo. But I look at Arizona, and all they do, John, is they lost 14 of the last 15 games that they played. I mean, it's just a shame what's happened to that team. They stink. I mean, they are really pretty awful. And is it Kyler? Is Kyler Murray really going to be your quarterback, or we're going to make some changes there too? There's a lot of things that have to happen for that franchise. So I either go Raiders or I go Buffalo with you, but I kind of lean towards the Raiders right now. I just think that they could, if they can make that turn, they could be something pretty special. Pete Carroll is just too old, John. You can't hire the oldest coach ever to coach in the NFL to be your coach. I mean, it's fun to try to sit there and maybe get this thing started again, but it didn't work, and I think they finally are going to move on. They have moved on. It's a matter of who's going to be the next coach, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we will be back with another Rebels Edge tomorrow, folks. So share this with your friends, whether it's the shorts that we put out or whether it's the full show. And we appreciate all of you tuning in wherever you do it, through YouTube, through Twitter, wherever. And thank you very much. We'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll see you then.